Hi, Sarah Sumter here along with Mr. Kevin Kennedy, and we're back on Conversations with Kevin.
Yeah.
This is always so fun, and we really enjoy these. So, Mr. Kennedy, you've been on the top of 3 law firms over your 36-year career.
Yes.
So what has that been like?
Well, you know, it puts me in a reflection mode, Sarah. Today, we're broadcasting from my law office. This is my office that I come into every day.
Wow.
So every day when I come in, let's talk about it. You're with me every day. What's the first thing I do when I hit this office?
You say a prayer and you read the Bible.
Every day. I have a beautiful Bible back there that one of our clients gave me, and it's turned to the 23rd Psalm. I read it every day, never miss a day. I read it at home, and then I come in here and read it too. And, you know, my great mentor, Pastor Roger Freeman, he used to say, Kevin, when you're faced with something that's challenging, read that 23rd Psalm. So, Sarah, that's a wonderful question. After I look back over, you know, I started out at the Bagwell, Parker, and Riggins law firm, and I was there 8.5 years, and then I broke off, and we had the Kennedy Zeller law firm, Kennedy Zeller and Associates, and then shortly thereafter, about 3 years, we emerged as the Kennedy law firm, and I've been here all these years. Great question. What have you learned? Life is full of uncertainties.
Yes.
So no matter, even when we finish this broadcast, no one knows what's going to happen when we walk out that door. Mm-hmm. And so one of the good things about this broadcast, we can talk about some topics, we can give some information that will help you if it's confronted with. So here's what I've learned. If you live long enough, Sarah, they will be coming to your home. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
Do you know that's true?
Know.
This whole year, it's even been a challenge for you. You were involved in a car wreck yourself.
I was.
And I remember, you know, one of the interesting things about Sarah and I worked together. As soon as she could even talk, the first thing, tell them what you were doing the first thing, as soon as you had your senses after that car
I
wreck.
called Kevin.
Yeah, she did. And how fast did I come down there?
He was there right away.
Yeah, and it was horrible, really. She got hit in the back end, and it smashed her car from the bumper all the way up to the back seat. Mm-hmm. So it and you know, the truth is, Sarah, we look back at that. You really needed some help. Your mother was there, and we went on and worked through that. So there's a lot of things that I've learned as a lawyer. Loose lips sink ships. So you need to think a little bit before you start talking. Mm-hmm. And that's true in all kinds of arenas. When we get it all said and done, you have to look after your own business. Yes. You have to look after your own family, mm-hmm. your property. And so that's why we're being trained through this broadcast. We love doing this broadcast because we help so many people that you'd love to ask the question. And so you said 36 years, more than 36 years as a lawyer, and been doing television, started with the church, more than 34 years
wow.
of television
wow.
Through a lot of avenues. So I'm glad that you're with me today. You're always a joy. I appreciate Sarah so much. And people would say, well, what's the secret? The secret is to have a team. Mm-hmm. No one lawyer can answer all the questions. No one lawyer can be in 100 different places. And so the team is the secret. And if that's one of the great things about Sarah, you can lean on Sarah. And if I said, Sarah, you've got to file this right now. Is it true? Do we see it every day?
Every day.
Every day?
Every day, all the time.
And if we're over at the courthouse and I say, Sarah, you got to get this filed, what do you do?
Go get it.
And so she is really great at those kinds of things. And then we'll have to call. We have emergencies. I think that's another thing that I've learned, Sarah. Life is full of a lot of emergencies. So we could say, hey, we're going to take the afternoon off. Then you get that phone call mm-hmm. and everything changes.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And that's one of the things I'd like to brag on you about. You know, we have these people come in all day, every day, all kinds of people. And Kevin never tries to make them feel embarrassed. You know, people come in here, we hear all sorts of problems people have, and some of them can be a little bit embarrassing, but we try to comfort them. Everybody here does. And that's one of the great reasons why I love working here and being in this kind of environment, because you don't ever have to feel ashamed. You don't ever
Amen.
have to,
Tell it.
know, we're here to help, and that's what we like to do.
Amen. Mm-hmm. I love to hear you say that. You know, we put on the front of the building, our motto, we're committed to helping people. And it's not really just a marketing, it's really a way of life. And I know this is true. If Sarah and I were out and all of a sudden some woman needed help, we're going to stop and we're going to go help. And it's so interesting. We're one of the first ones. Sarah gets up early, so we're here at the office. We open at 7 a.m. And many days there are people waiting at the front door because they need help when, Sarah?
Right now.
And so we, even when I have a busy schedule, we try to meet the needs of people. And a lot of times, just a little conversation, a little legal advice, a little kind word, a little encouragement is really all you need. In some of the low valleys in my life, Sarah, I look back over, and I had a pastor come to see me one time, and he said, now, Kevin, this. And when we got finished, I felt so much better. And I felt stronger, and I was more confident. And when I got up, I realized he didn't give me anything but a word. It's why the Bible is so powerful. It's why I really believe it, love to share it and believe in it. Is because all you really need is a word sometimes, and it'll make a difference in your life.
Yes. One of the things we love to talk about here at the law firm is learning. Every day is a very big learning experience here at the Kennedy Law Firm. I learn something new every day, and I've been here for about 1.5 years. And even now I come in and there's something that I didn't know before. And that's one of the things that really attracted me to the Kennedy Law Firm, is because I knew that it would be a great learning experience. And I still would never have imagined, of all the things that I have learned, I would have never.
Yeah. Well, learning, you're not living unless you're learning. And it says if you don't learn, you will get burned. I do believe that. They always say, too, ignorance of the law is no excuse. And we've learned that because even now, say, hey, I didn't even know that was the law. So then we find out, and I'm the man that's got the most experience. So, and we're not so ashamed that we won't say, we didn't know that. But we can take that and try to always go around. But learning is a lifelong experience. So when you graduate from high school, some people say, wow, I'm done, that's it. It's a mistake. And those guys say, well, I came out of the law school. I say, fellas, young ladies, the learning just begins. Because the law school, it might teach you the theories and it might teach you the law, but the real world is a totally different place. And so we are constantly learning, and I love to teach. I think I'm a teacher by nature.
You are.
To want to teach, and take the time. And all these experiences that I've had over the years, that's why we really even love this broadcast. We love to let you look into our lives just a little bit so that it might benefit you somewhere. And so the things that you've learned over these conversations, talk to your children about it. My mother used to say, get them in the car and ride them, and you've got a captive audience. And then when you have Christmas and you have Thanksgiving and you have all the holidays, talk to your family. That is your responsibility, to teach them and safeguard them. And the law affects everyone. And they say, well, I don't want to hear about that. I don't know about that. A really smart parent or grandparent or great-grandparent will constantly be trying to teach. Who are the best plumbers? The guys that their daddies taught. Who are the best electricians? The guys that their daddy taught. And who would know the most about law is their fathers that would try to teach them. And one good thing about law, we can discuss it, and we even enhance each other, hone the skills. Sarah was a diamond in the rough. Can I say it again,
No,
Sarah?
you cannot.
I've been chipping on you. I've been polishing them. And so the best is yet to come.
Hi, Bruce Kennedy here with the Kennedy Law Firm, and my brother, Kevin. And Kevin, when I think of these personal injury cases, I think of the responsibility to be dedicated and diligent. Abraham Lincoln even said one of his key principles was he operated by diligence.
Yeah, the truth is, Bruce, preparation, work, hit them again. If they turn us down, we hit them again. That'll be the secret to our success. 931-645-9900.
I wanted to ask you a few legal questions, give these folks at home a little
Come on.
insight of the stuff we deal with
Fire
on a regular
away,
basis.
Sarah.
So what's a deposition?
A deposition. Good question. A powerful tool. I like to say in the mechanic's box, he's got wire pliers and he's got screwdrivers. He's got all kinds of little vice grips, because each one of those tools serve a purpose and can make a difference in fixing the car in an emergency or not. That's the power of a deposition. Great question. What is it? It's where a lawyer can subpoena someone to a deposition and they put them under oath. And as a general rule, we have what's known as a discovery deposition. So I can ask that person anything I want to as long as it leads to discoverable information.
Wow.
And so a lot of people say, I'm not going to answer that question. They can't make me answer that. Well, that's why you need a lawyer. If you get subpoenaed, go to a lawyer. How fast, Sarah?
Immediately.
You know, I guarantee you, she's almost a lawyer herself because she sees all these cases. Sarah and I were in court the other day, and there's a really fascinating case going on. And she said, hey, I said, well, sit out and watch it for a little while, but don't take all day. And so she did, and it's interesting. And Sarah really has been in more depositions than just about anybody. You say, wow, because the court reporter, and you have to pay for it, the court reporter has to be paid. They're a stenographer. And they come in, and it's usually myself and the client, and then the other person, the defendant or the plaintiff, whichever it may be, and their client. The court reporter, our stenographer, is taking down everything that is said. And so we can ask questions under oath. Now, if you were to be misleading or you were to tell a lie in a deposition, guess what? That is a crime, and you can be charged. Do you believe it?
I do.
Have you heard me in depositions before? I say, now, do you understand everything that I have said? And you understand you are under oath, and your answers can be and will be used against you.
Yes.
So do you understand everything I say? And I make them answer in the affirmative. And they do, so then we move right in. A lot of it's kind of some very simple questions. What's your name? Where do you live? Where do you work? And then we move, like if we're in a car wreck, we'd move into, say, do you recall the accident that happened on Trenton Road in Sequoia Lane? And yes, tell us what you saw. So why is that important? Because we pin that down. And a year from now, if we had to go to trial and they said, well, I don't remember this, or I remember, and I said, well, let me take the deposition and I will refresh your recollection. So then they say, golly, I know one thing, I don't want to be making wrong statements. They'll turn around and try to get me indicted or arrested.
And
Is it true?
It happens.
Does it happen?
It happens all
Everybody
the time.
says, that never happens. They don't walk in the real world, do they?
No.
So that's really it's a great tool. I've heard some lawyers say it's the most effective tool in a lawyer's toolbox.
Wow.
So I do like it. It does cost money, but it's very effective. And remember this, Sarah, no one wants to go to court. When we have these car wreck cases, everybody wants them settled. True?
True.
In your particular case, you wanted yours settled.
Yes.
And we got it done.
Got it done.
But if we wanted to fight forever, sometimes you have to draw down and let these insurance companies really know that you mean business, or they'll just take advantage of you. What do you do if somebody comes over and says, well, I'm going to move your fence? Well, you can't let that happen. I'm going to come over and I'm going to take your child. You can't let that happen. Somebody comes over and keys your car. That's not right. What are you going to do if somebody digs a ditch across their yard and pours all their water onto yours? Is that fair?
No.
So anything can happen. And so that's why you need a lawyer. And so much of the time we can get involved and we stop the problem. I've said many times, Sarah, when two reasonable people come together, just like when we go to a mediation, and that defense lawyer, he's a smart guy. The insurance companies hire the best lawyers. And when I lay the case out and show him this is where we are in the meeting, say, hey, Mr. Kennedy, a Kennedy Law Firm, they got their stuff together, so I think they're reasonable. Then they'll come back. Of course, they try to cut us. We try to pull them. And the real world is when you get within reason. I know Sarah's going to give me authority. Get it done, Kevin. Is it true?
It's true.
Did you turn me loose? You said, just get it done.
did.
All right.
I did.
And she's still smiling today. Good job, Sarah. Okay.
All right. So what's an interrogatory?
Interrogatory. It kind of comes from interrogation. It's questions. So a lawyer, when you're involved in a lawsuit, say a car wreck, we can send interrogatories to the other side. And we can ask them every kind of question, and they and their lawyer sit down and respond to that. The difference between an interrogatory and a deposition is sworn to verbal. An interrogatory is sworn to and it's written. So if you say, well, how much money did you make last year? Because they're going to sue you for punitive damages or whatever. They say, well, I didn't make but $20,000. Well, guess what? Then when we subpoena your IRS records and you made $120,000, did we catch somebody telling a lie? Is it true?
It's true.
And so one thing about the courts, and it's why the law is there, it's meant to tell the truth. It's meant to be fair. That's all. You just wanted to be treated fair. You didn't ask for that car wreck. And so as a lawyer, we want to advance the cause. Let's just find common ground to be fair to one another.
True.
So that's what an interrogatory is. You take it dead serious. You be careful on what you say. I'm going to stop again. That's why you need a lawyer. We'll throw the brakes on and we'll talk to our client. Answer only what is asked. Because the more you talk, then you lead them to more territory to come question you.
Yes.
You believe it?
I do.
And, one of the things that I'll mention about your situation, Sarah, none of that was your fault. But if you have another car wreck and somebody runs and you have another car wreck, all of a sudden the insurance company say, this girl she's accident prone. You're causing these. They would try to paint you as something that you're really not.
Yes.
That's why you need a lawyer to defend you and be able to explain all this away. Good job.
All right, so what's an affidavit?
Affidavit. You're pretty sharp. One of the things we do at the law firm, if we had a witness to a car wreck, and let's just say, hey, would you be willing to do an affidavit? It's kind of a sworn to statement. And they said, yes, I don't have any problem. Well, then come to the office. I was at Trenton Road in Sequoia on December 5th, 2020. I saw a SUV run into the back end, and there was nothing that person could have done. They were stopped, and they hit, and so they sign it. That is a sworn affidavit. So we use that as we prepare against insurance companies. They say, well, what's your facts? What evidence you got? Show me what. I said, well, we understand that she was running to the, well, what can you prove? And I'd say, well, we can prove this fact. Well, all you've got is hearsay. Then guess what, Sarah? We say, well, we have a what?
Affidavit.
Say it real loud, Sarah.
Affidavit.
And it is signed, and it is notarized, and I'm armed and dangerous with that affidavit. Do you believe it?
I do believe it.
And we will use it. And guess what? Right now, Zoom is everywhere. Why? The courts don't really want to have these hearings because of COVID. So if we've got proof to put in, we need to put it in the form of an affidavit. Now watch me one more time. They come in and bring all these statements. What's the difference in an affidavit and a statement? That's a good one too. Statement, you just write out, this is what I saw, and you didn't swear to it. But, so they bring in all these statements. The lawyer, Kevin Kennedy, object, Your Honor. Those statements have not been sworn to. You can't bring them in. Hearsay, Your Honor. And we have a legal battle. And of course, the other lawyer is going to do his best to try to get it in.
Yes.
And, I topped my law class in the field of evidence. That's one of the things that I was really proud of from my legal education. And the guy that was number one in my class, we studied together. And I remember when the grades came out and I topped the class, he said, Kevin, how did that happen? I taught you. I said, dude, I learned everything that you knew, and I already knew everything I knew. And so it kind of gave me a cutting edge, and we did that. And so I've used that over the years. So in the back of your mind, what can I prove, and then what can I keep them from being allowed to bring it in? And they said, well, that's not fair, that's not fair. We have to all play by the rules. Learn the rules, know the rules, advance it. If they tried to bring in a bunch of statements of people we didn't know against you, Sarah, who would be the first one on the floor? I object. Your Honor, I move that all that be excluded. Not one thing is sworn to. There's not an affidavit in the group. Show me a deposition. Judge, they could have followed the deposition. We've never received a notice for it. Can I get an amen?
Amen.
And you believe it, and I do too.
All right, I know you touched a little bit on statements earlier, but what can you tell me about tape-recorded statements?
All right, watch out for the tape recording. Watch out. So insurance companies, when they have a car wreck, me and you were together pretty much from the beginning of the scene. What I tell everyone is get a lawyer immediately. Insurance companies are becoming more and more sophisticated, becoming more and more aggressive. So what they want to do, the next day after the wreck, they're going to call you. hey, Miss Sumter, I understand you were in a car wreck. How do you feel? And see, we as a general public, we don't want to rip anybody off.
Right.
We don't want to hurt people's feelings. And so we want to say, well, I'm okay. And then the next day or the next day afterwards, you start hurting like crazy. Well, they took a tape-recorded statement, and when we come down, you know what the insurance adjusters always say? Well, we got her statement, Mr. Kennedy, right after the wreck, and she said she wasn't hurt. So they take your own words, and they use them against you. So then I'm fighting uphill. And quite a bit, a lot of the time, I would, if I just had control over you at the beginning, they wouldn't push you around.
True.
I don't give them any bullets to use against you. And I'd say, fellas, when y'all get ready to take her deposition, we'll tell you really what happened, and we'll tell you the extent of her injuries. Touche.
What's a right of privacy?
Right of privacy. As a general rule, we have a right of privacy right now, meaning that someone couldn't come in here and put a hidden tape recorder under one of these chairs.
Wow.
And we can have a private conversation. We can talk about whatever we need to in preparation of a case. But if someone had taped us, that's an illegal wiretap. Now, recordings can be legal. If one person knows, somebody could tape this. So again, you always got to be so careful. You know what we say at the law firm? The camera is always on. The microphone is always on. And nowadays, wherever we go, there's cameras everywhere.
Yes.
They say you can't go 80 feet in London without being on a camera.
Wow.
And then they'll say, well, all you've got is video. You don't have any audio. I got a little trick for them too, Sarah. You know, we can hire lip readers. There's experts. So you could be, I said, I got her conversation there. Well, Sarah's confessing everything. We didn't get it on tape, but we can interpret it. Are there 10,000 tricks?
Yes, yes.
And so out of 36 years as a lawyer, experience does make a difference.
Absolutely.
And I'm so glad that you're here learning all this. I want you to learn it. I want you to share it. And I appreciate, you know, one of the great things about Sarah, you said it earlier, but we try to create an environment of positivity. We try to create an environment of giving hope to people. And you're so kind. You're a natural. You are a natural for this because you can encourage people when they're at their very lowest. It's been said that a lawsuit takes everything out of someone because we're gripped with anxiety and worry. And then that's really when you need a friend.
Yes.
And so I give you a 10 on a 1 to 10.
Well, thank
You've
you.
been a friend to so many people, and I can even see it when we walk across the street. Sarah and I, we talk to each other. We talk about these affirmations. Okay, Sarah, let's go do it. Let's do it. And we try to lift our clients up to bring the best out in them and try to have some enthusiasm between us and the lawyers here, and gives us hope. And quite frankly, you give me a client that really believes in us, then we've got a magic formula. And then I say, well, let's go do it. I really want to please the clients.
Yes.
I don't want to disappoint you. And, you know, we can't win every case, but, you know, we do more than our part. And so we come back and we usually celebrate. And so it's a good thing, Sarah.
Yes, it really is. It's always great when we're able to help somebody out. What can you tell me about tort?
Torts. Yeah, that's a hard word. You know, we never talk about it just in general conversation, but lawyers talk about it every day. A tort is when someone does you wrong. If I ran into you, if I hit you, that is a tort, which means that you've been injured. And if you've been injured because of something that I did, my actions, my words that injured you, and it was the proximate cause of your injury, then you're entitled to compensatory damages. And if it was so egregious that I did to you, then the law provides for punitive damages. What is that, Kevin? That's where the court allows you to be punished. Because if I just came out and just deliberately ran into you, deliberately pulled my gun and shot you in the arm and you lost your, what an egregious act. And you say, well, Kevin, that's not fair. And I say, I know, I understand. Or somebody was after me and they shot through the car and they hit you. So stay close. You cover all those bullets on the far side. So they say, why you got Sarah? I say, Sarah's the bodyguard over there.
Oh, my goodness.
Okay, but that is what a tort is. When someone does you wrong, then you can sue them and bring compensatory. When someone hits you in a car wreck, then the law provides that. Because if we didn't have that, society would break down.
Yes.
You know, it's built on the premise that we're going to tell the truth and we're going to do the right thing. And if people do the wrong thing, there's consequences to their actions.
So what is a settlement demand?
Settlement demand. That's where you and I got together. We got all your medical bills. So you went to the doctor and you were out of work, and so that you have lost wages. And you had gas going to and from all your doctor's appointments. That's not fair. You should be compensated for that. If you had to have someone come and do things that are normal that you could take care of, but you couldn't because of your injury, that's something that we make a claim for. So we list all of these things out. Really, we just tell you what happened to Sarah, why your client is liable for this, and this is what we think is fair. So if you had medical bills of $25,000, well, the insurance company might come and say, oh, we're going to settle with her. She's just a young girl. We're going to settle with her. She's walking around fine. We'll give her $5,000. And then you say, hey, we cannot even pay her medical bills. She didn't get her loss. Y'all are not being fair to us. So when you get one like that, sometimes maybe you may end up having to file suit. And of course, you know, they may ask for $500,000. They say, well, that's too much. Well, then if we get to a mediator, then we can negotiate. But a settlement demand, when a lawyer prepares everything, it's called preparation, preparation, preparation. That's one of our keys. So when it's all put together and it's laid out good, it's hard for you to punch holes in it.
Yes.
Here's the doctor's bills. Are they reasonable? If they are, and what can we say? The doctor, if you go to Tenova and they come back and they say, well, we had to do x-rays, we had to do an MRI, you didn't really have control. The doctors, the healthcare providers, they said it.
Yes.
But you should be entitled to be compensated because you're out all those monies. And guess what? If you didn't have a lawyer, it goes by a year, then the hospital and all the doctors, what are they going to do to you? They'll turn right around and sue you, get a judgment and collect, and then you say, Kevin, that's not fair. So you got to protect your own self. That's what a settlement demand is. We send it to the insurance companies.
So in a case, who is the plaintiff and who is the defendant?
Well, in a car wreck in your situation, you would have been the plaintiff. You were the one that's bringing a claim because they ran into the back end of you. And the defendant would be the person who's responsible. Now, if you took it over to a criminal case, that's the state of Tennessee. It's a crime against the state. If somebody intentionally ran into you, that's a crime against the state. You're a victim then, Sarah. Yes. So the person who did it would be the defendant. And the state of Tennessee represents you in those criminal cases. You don't have to pay for it because our tax dollars, because that's against public policy. So, you know, when we talk about how do you understand all these laws? How do you know that? You know, after the tornado, I have about 13,000 law books at one of my libraries at Fort Campbell. All these guys were moving the books, and they said, Mr. Candy, did you read all these books? And there was a whole bunch of them. I said, I read them 6 times. They said, man, you were smart. We all laughed and joked about it. But it would take forever to read all the books in the law libraries.
True.
And now we've got everything online, so it's kind of interesting. But, you know, I spent my life looking at those law books. You and I had to move some of those
books. We did have to move tons of them.
Were they heavy?
They were very heavy.
Yeah, that's when I really needed Sarah. They said, when did you need her the worst? I needed her the worst because those boxes. In fact, Sarah and I were moving some books. You remember that last time we got those boxes. And I said, Sarah, you grabbed that one. You said, can I get a smaller box? Do you remember that?
I do.
Yeah, trying to hoodoo me. I didn't want to kill myself.
He says I'm never allowed to tell him no, so sometimes I don't say no. I just say, how about this instead?
Yeah, that's good. That's good, Sarah. She's right on target. My #1 student right there, Sarah.
This show is so much fun always, and I want to thank you so much for having me, and I want to thank you guys at home so much for watching and tuning in with us.
Yeah, it's always a blessing. You can come up to Sarah and I if you see us and speak to us. We're glad to see you. So whenever we're out, we love to have people come up and speak to us. It's great. So the lesson as we close today, you can't outgive God. You can't learn enough. So keep your ears open, your eyes open, and so that you might take something and share it to help someone else. Remember, I'm Kevin Kennedy along with Sarah Sumpton, the Kennedy Law Firm. We're committed to helping people.